Hi, I'm Joe Pollock, and I make a fantasy football podcast called The Fantasy Takeaway. In our industry, everyone's looking to find an edge, and I think Ben Lamarck, JD Chamberlain, Michael Chen, and myself have done exactly that with the Fantasy Football Predictor. According to the Fantasy Sports Gaming Commission, over 47 million people played fantasy football in 2017. All of them have their own opinion on every player and believe their strategy will lead them to the top of their league at the end of the year. But those opinions are often the result of intuitions and assumptions that go unchallenged and unverified. Our goal was to build a product which could collect the most predictive football stats and analyze the data using machine learning, then output the best predictions based on the data and host it all on the web. Our product encompasses multiple related pieces that work in conjunction. It begins by pulling NFL stats with predictive value from reliable sources, but it's also a machine learning algorithm which takes those stats as inputs. The algorithm learns what stats are important towards generating fantasy football points in order to predict how well players will do in the future. The last piece of the product is a website which displays the players' stats and their resulting predictions on ffpredictor.thefantasytakeaway.com. Our first problem was how we were going to get the necessary statistics and how we would be able to merge them together. We decided early on that the data should come from as few sources as possible. Each source has their own method for identifying players, so each additional source would make it more and more difficult to combine that player's stats together. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to collect the data, including being attacked by a website we were trying to purchase data from. But ultimately, we landed on ProFootballReference.com, which has a robust range of stats offered at no cost. Through a combination of web scraping and usage of their public API, we were able to find all the required statistics. From there, it was a long process of making the learning algorithm and teaching it how to predict fantasy football outcomes. Once we completed the database and created our working model, combining all the moving parts presented a major challenge. The website is fully functional. At ffpredictor.thefantasytakeaway.com, you can search your favorite players to see their stats for the current season, check out how their next matchup is looking, and even find our machine learning-based predictions that update each and every week with new incoming data points. Testing the algorithm internally took a long time and it was a team effort, but through deep analysis of the data, we came up with the best methods to create a future prediction and then adjust it by the opponent's defense. It may seem like small potatoes, but fantasy football is big business. The National Football League is the biggest professional sports league in America, and it is also the most popular sport in terms of fantasy and daily fantasy sports. Whether you're a professional DFS guru or a water cooler stat nerd, accurate prediction models like these can give an advantage to anyone trying to gain an edge. 47 million people play fantasy football every year. It's an $18.6 billion market. That's $6 billion more in revenue than the estimated revenue of all 32 NFL teams combined. This model should help the Fantasy Takeaway carve out their piece of that pie.